Good morning, everyone. My name is Jillian Bartlett. I'm an executive member of the Coalition of Independents. In addition to that, I'm also the vice chair lady in the West End constituency and coordinator for the Coalition of Independents. Now, I'm here, this is part 6 with regards to our country's issues along the guidelines of the illegal migration issue. And I'm reading directly from our Vision 2030 solutions, actually, because we already know what the problem is with our immigration issues, and namely the illegal migration issues. So we're quite aware of that. So I thought I'd come on and bring the solutions. In addition to that, on our website, the Coalition of Independents, www.thecoalitionofindependence.com, is also on the Facebook platform under the Coalition of Independence page, so you can go and peruse it at any given time. It's very friendly, it's very transparent, and it's not shielded because you can also interact and be involved with our solutions. All right? So last week I came on and I spoke to the candidates. Sorry, it was this week. Still this week. Everything is moving so fast. And I named off many of the candidates that are vying for the political position to be the next government of the Bahamas. And I need to make some corrections right now. I think I said that Mr. Lincoln Bain was in Pine Ridge. Well, Pine Ridge is actually in Grand Bahama, and that's Mr. Daniel Mitchell. That's basically our chairman in Freeport, Grand Bahama. I meant to say Mr. Lincoln Bain is the candidate and leader of the Coalition of Independents, and he's running in Pinewood. Everybody knows the condition of Pinewood. It has a real flooding issue. I think it was during Mr. Lincoln's live feed, Mr. Brian T. Roll came on. He is the candidate vying for the position as the next candidate to represent us in the House of Assembly in the Golden Isles. Mr. Roll brought on the candidate for Golden Isles. He brought on a resident of the Golden Isles who's an engineer. I think his name is Bastian, sorry. His name is Bastian. He came on. He's actually a technical person. He also is a resident of the Golden Isles, and he came with the solutions to stop the problem. Now, we heard from under the table somewhere in the back of the bush that the PLP had a round table and brought up our solutions, but it doesn't matter because what benefits all the Bahamian people is the only concern for the Coalition of Independents. But we're happy that Mr. Brian Roll brought him in on the platform to speak about the solution. So everything is in the open. We really don't care. Now we're praying holistically, yes, because there's a way to pray holistically, and then there's a way to pray unholistically. That the next candidate for the Golden Isles will be Mr. Brian Roll. Now, hot from our desks, the Coalition of Independents. Last night we had some altercation, and it appears as if we had several altercations at the by-election. So this is what I take from it, all right? The Coalition of Independents leader, Mr. Lincoln Bain, has reported that during this by-election backlash, that the COI has gotten 42% of the votes, tallied up by our intel, our database, because if you are working the polls, you can know exactly who's voting out of 200 and something odd persons, and the COI got 42%. Do y'all see how significant this is for in the by-election? And why y'all saw last night Mr. Bain was fighting along, yes, surprisingly, with the F&M candidate, not the leader. Let's get it straight. The F&M candidate, because the information that came out of the by-election that the COI has 42% of voters' support in the by-election for the Coalition of Independents. If you know how significant that is, you can understand why last night was so important, that everything was done according to protocols and the law. So that's our intel from our desk, where Mr. Bain has stated categorically last night online that the COI got 42% of the voters' base by the COI supporters in the by-election. I think that's worth repeating like a few times. All right? Just let that sink in for a moment. Now, prior to this, Mr. Bain also stated that 42% must be reflected in the general election, because their database, the COI's database, is digital. We don't have a digital database in our whole system right now. And why it was so important last night that the protocols be followed to a T. Now, according to the Elizabeth Estates candidate, who is actually a criminal defense attorney, Ms. Donna Dorset Major, give it a second. In last night polling, we had 42% of the voters' support in the by-election. And there's nothing that can erase that information. So we're warning all persons involved. We are not our grandparents' generation. And I want to leave that there. Mr. Bain will be speaking further to this. We do have a motorcade on the 22nd of this month in Nassau, Bahamas. So the motorcade will lead out on the 22nd at 7 p.m. in Nassau at, I think, opposite the Canute Electronic Building. That's on Carmichael and Gladstone in Nassau, Bahamas. We're having a grand motorcade on the 22nd in Nassau, at the electrical place that we've had the motorcade that was very successful in Nassau, on Gladstone and Carmichael, or Carmichael and Gladstone. This must be a blackout. The people have spoken in the by-election. We had over 42% support. This is major. Just thank God we are an advance. Political party, because we are not our grandparents' generation. All right. So let me recap what I'm about to talk about. I'm going to the Vision 2030 solutions for the illegal migration issues in the Bahamas. Again, you can go on our Facebook page under the Coalition of Independents. All the information is there. You can actually take part. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be living in Nassau. You can take part. You can put your input. You can say what you like or don't like. But we are about coming with the solutions now, because this is where we are. The fact that we're in the middle of a by-election that will be dated on the 24th of November. We are in election mode. I don't even think the COI will be celebrating Christmas this year, because this is how serious it is, all right? There we are again. So let me begin from where I start off. This is part 6. And we spoke about understanding and securing our border. And I think I need to reinforce that information, because, you know, they laugh at Donald Trump when he said he was going to build the wall and somebody else was going to pay for it. But this is not a laughing matter right now. As you can see, the problems in our waters through the Caribbean and the Atlantis and Venezuela, there is a seawall border that's up right now because Mr. Trump has decided that he's going to war on the drug trafficking issues that's bearing down on the United States. And we know that our channels are part of that section, right? So the suggestion under the COI is to build a seawall. It's a naval block. It's possible. Mr. Trump is doing it against the drug traffickers and any trafficker that's on that wavelength. Now, I'll start with number 3. I didn't mention this one before. It's called the asset management. This captures the vessels, and these vessels will, once they're captured, because they're illegal, they will be confiscated and destroyed. Or, see, we have some other benefits. Again, we know the problem. Here is the solution. As it's mentioned, right? We've seen a prolific amount of boats been upgraded coming into our shores illegal under the illegal migration issue. We've seen many of them. So this is what the COI is proposing. They will auction off the boats. And this money will be put towards the benefits of the Bahamian citizen and our probably welfare funds. Now don't forget what Davis did. He changed the sovereign welfare to some nationality welfare, whatever. Well, that's not going to work, Mr. Davis. That's not going to work. We never had a referendum. We never had third count in the House of Assembly cabinet to pass that. So as far as we're concerned, the same action that's happening last night in the by-election, we're not doing this with you, okay? We have the solution. We'll confiscate those boats because the boats have been upgraded. The rest, we will destroy the boats. One suggestion, CI, don't destroy it in the water. Take it out of the water and burn it on land. That's my suggestion. Reforming the immigration policies to eliminate illegal entry is one. I'm going to tell the present Royal Defense Force officer who was in charge, Mr. King, you have failed us. You have failed us. The problem has not been alleviated. Okay? Moxie, we still have our eyes on you. We still have our eyes on you. But this is the policy under the Coalition of Independence by eliminating the entry. We're going to have a zero tolerance policy. We're going to end the nationalization. Only those who are born Bahamians will qualify for citizenship. There is in our laws that we should only have 15% of each nationality coming into our country to have citizenship. Now, I'm going to put a pin there. I'm going to put a pin in there because of the crisis that hasn't been alleviated by the Haitian nationals who had over 60 leaders from 1804 to 2021 when the last one was assassinated. Because of the crisis in that, we're going to have to put a cap on that nationality, period. That's my suggestion. But I thought the above was worth repeating because we need to make sure that you understand our Vision 2030 with regards to what the COI is coming with the solution. Remember now, it wasn't the COI who've allowed this to escalate the way it has escalated in the Bahamas. And I want you to help me, please share this information, all right? So, accountability for employers and facilitators. Let us draw you a quick scenario what I mean by employers and facilitators. Now, for years, we've had cheap labor in the Bahamas by businesses. You know who you are. You know what you've done to those people. It was not the COI, and it was the government who is the two leading governmental departments, ministries who have governed our country, not the COI. Those are the employers. We don't care if it's hotel. We don't care if it's a business that's been in the Bahamas before I was born, yes. You're going to face some penalties because you're the reason people take these jobs on the black market. They're not registered properly. They're not housed properly. They're not living the way they should live properly. And that ends up being a problem in our society. Facilitators, those who are in these shanty towns, who are using them as rental for migrants coming in and staying, that's a problem. Monies we don't collect from VAT shortchange our system, and we have a problem with that. All right? So basically, what am I saying here? What are the action we're going to take against those facilitators and employers who have exploited and caused this trend of low grade, under the rug payments for persons who should be on the books so we can collect our VAT tax? We're tired of the cheap labor. We're tired of being the unlawful action of those who will facilitate and who employ migrants and pay them under the table. That must stop. These people have been exploited far too much, and it was not the COI who have allowed this. All right? Employers and landlords and any who harbor illegal migrants will face severe penalties. And this is in our laws already. So the COI will only be enforcing it. You know why? We will stop the trading and the demoralization of persons who country is in chaos and they flock to our country because they're looking for a better way. The COI has sanctioned this. Okay, so we have graduate sanctions. Okay, first offense will incur a fine with subsequent offense. Okay, the first offense, facilitators and business owner, yeah, you're going to get a fine. It's going to be surmountable. But after that, if you subsequently continue to be an offensive business owner and a facilitator, your license will be revoked. This is why I said we need to read more of what's happening with the Coalition of Independence solution. If the government runs out or step down, believe me, we are ready to govern our country before the election. The Golden Isle seat is vitally important. Mr. Lincoln Payne has already told us publicly that we have 42% of the by-election vote out of 200 people. Normally it trickles down into our society to be the winning party. So we're going to go with that for now, okay? Next. How can a community get involved? How can the community in the Bahamas get involved with dealing with this massive issue, which the COI has already had the solution in its Vision 2030. How can the community get involved? For instance, the Bahamas for Bahamians legal residents has already engaging in this, but you can still be involved for the outer public. First, the volunteers will be deputized. Do you understand? You have to be deputized properly. We already have a cadre of almost 300 people ready for this position. I'm not just talking this, okay? But the COI would deputize all volunteers going in and online. You can actually volunteer now as I'm speaking. You can volunteer to be deputized, all right? Number 4, infrastructure and the economy initiative, housing for illegal migrants. I know y'all don't want to hear this, okay? Let me just say it again, excuse me. The COI is not the reason the migrants have have taken land and have built unlawful shanty communities. That's not our fault that this has happened. But we have to come with a solution because Bahamians especially under the COI, and anybody who might be listening to me now, we are humane. But we're not going to be humane to persons who illegally break our laws, illegally land on our island and build shanty facilities. We've had enough of that. So the question, the migrants aren't you tired, migrants? I'm not talking about the illegal persons, okay? I'm talking about the persons who are legal. Aren't you tired? Living below standard. Your country called Haiti is overpopulated and underdeveloped. I don't care what nobody says. Because with 60 leaders under your belt in Haiti, you think if you fought for your independence, shouldn't you have been treating your people in 2025 so much better? I think so. Now, those we've educated who have insulted us, who have demonstrated their disloyalty to our country's constitution and step on it and tell us they're going to vote in our votes, perhaps this is a good time for you to exit the Bahamas, because we have given you more than enough. All right? This is where we are. So the issues and solution. All shanty towns will be demolished, in place of COI replaced with high standard apartment complex. Bahamians, I know y'all don't want to hear this, but let's think. We didn't create it, but the COI is coming with a solution. Answers. Did you hear? The F&M or the PLP speaking to this? Haitians who are in our society, do you hear the F&M or the PLP speaking to this solution? We're going to offer. Please listen to us, because we're giving you a chance to put it right. And if you decide not to put it right and you challenge us, the Bahamians, you will have to leave our country without any ever coming back, because you've disrespect us as Bahamians. But the answer for the shantytown living, they will have to demolish the inhumane shanty villages. It has to be done, okay? And will be replaced with high standard complex buildings for rental. Now, what else? It's called the Workers' House. That's the name of the place that will be called. And let me tell you what else the COI will do that the F&M and PLP has failed to do. The cost reduction from your salary. You know, we're living in the 21st century, everybody. Nobody has no time to be putting your money under the rug, and you say you pay one landlord who's complicit, and then maybe you have no record of it. We're protecting the persons who come to our country who shouldn't be here, but we're coming with a solution, and we'll have a salary deduction, which shows your contribution to the Bahamas economy, because apparently this hasn't been proven since we got VAT thrusts on us as all Bahamians. So we can't complain about no more that, you have your receipt, you can't find it in Dorian. Everything will be transparently be done. And I wonder why, me, Miss Jillian Bartlett, wonder why the UN, who these people cry out to, never came up with a solution like this. So it could start the bleeding of those who do come, maybe from a country who cannot manage its people since they fought for their independence in Haiti. Well, I say shame on the UN, the Amnesty, and anybody else who were involved with this matter and didn't solve it. But the COI has the solution. Listen, we, the COI, will find a way to increase the Bahamian sovereign wealth funds. Did Davis decide he would change the sovereign wealth fund? Yes, he did. He changed it to some other name, and we care less, because that will be turned back, because it's the people who needs that fund, okay? Did he actually have a 2/3 vote in the House of Assembly? Did he actually bought a referendum to change that name? Or he just did it because this is how they operate in our country, in the Bahamas. And this is the very prime minister who said, he's one of them days, one of him, and when he get in 2021, that he can take care of them. Now, he's always been a deputy prime minister. It's nothing new. We are going to correct this, okay? Right is right and wrong is wrong. We also had, under the PLP, remember we did a referendum? The last referendum we did was the gambling referendum. Do you recall the gambling referendum? Did they pay millions for us to go to vote against or for? And added some other things in there that the people wasn't hearing it. For the gambling referendum and the gender referendum and this referendum. Do y'all remember? Wasn't it Perry Christie who came back to us under the PLP and said it was just an opinion poll? So you spend millions of dollars to have an opinion poll on the Bahamian purse. And this is what the Bahamian got. Now, those very gambling houses that you've decided that you wasn't going to penalize, and the Bahamian people voted against gambling. Now, that's years ago. There's somebody called Sebastian who got an ambassadorship under Menace. You remember that political party? Remember that one we sent running? Yeah, that one. Wasn't it under the PLP who had a real election against the gambling? Because nobody was regularized, so that money went where? All these years you made money. And now y'all want to come under Davis, still the PLP, and put Sabas as a candidate now. Wait, first, he's a millionaire. I have no problem with you with Sabas making millions. I have a problem when you accepted that ambassadorship under Menace. I have a bigger problem now that you accepted to run in the next election. Yeah? Sabas, I have a message for you personally. This has nothing to do with the COI, but I have a message for you. Sabas, so all the addictions that the people have suffered for years since Island Luck was open. Yeah, you throw a lot of trinkets out there. Ain't nobody into your trinkets because I don't gamble. Okay? But the suffering of those who cannot taper their drinking habits, their drug habits. But you had to come, Sabas, and add the gambling addiction. Now, this is what I'm looking for, Sabas. Now, I hear you have a hotline. Bahamians, I want you to really engage with me right now. A hotline that a drug addictive person is going to call in to say, I'm addicted to gambling and I can't take care of my children. My children's school fees are out of control. I can't even pay the bill for my wife's in the Ryan Memorial Hospital or the Dingham Hospital. They're going to pick up the phone, Sabas, and they're going to call you to say, I have an addiction problem. Are you serious? And now you want to run in this election and you've done more damage than the drug dealers? I'm going to say it because nobody's thinking that, but I'm going to say it. We have an addiction problem with drug users, alcoholism, and now we have for the last, 10 years plus, the addiction with gambling. Ain't no addicted person is going to be calling you on no hotline, Sabas. Instead of you running in this next coming election in 2023, what you need to do is build a real facility if you really want to help your Bahamian people for the gambling addiction that has occurred for years since we said no to the referendum against gambling. That's what you need to do. And the people need to send you running because you need not to have that position. Okay? Giving trinkets at Christmas and giving away this and helping people build their house and giving people peanuts. But we have a real systemic issue with addiction from gambling. I want you to hear me, Sabas. This is unacceptable. And you don't need to be a candidate under no one. You've used both sides. Minas brought you in as an ambassador. Now you're running under the PLP. No, we're not having it. What you need to do is take about 40 to 50 million and build a proper facility to facilitate the addiction that Bahamians have incurred because you have opened up your brand. %42 is a clear indication. Thank God Mr. Lincoln Bain have the vision to have a digital processing going on. 42% in a by-election. Second by-election within a 5-year term in the Bahamas is a clear, even a clearer indication how the people are feeling. It doesn't matter PLPs and FNMs, how you fight each other. The coalition is fighting for the Bahamian people. They're not just fighting for the Bahamian people, they're fighting for our laws, our constitution, and other protocols and penal codes to be respected. What we saw last night is a real depiction of how rotten, I can say it like that, how rotten the Bahamas really has become and how the standards have dropped. But let me tell you something, Davis. We have a cadre of women. We will fight to defend our country called the Bahamas against you. We have a cadre of women who have children and grandchildren who support Mr. Lincoln Bain, who will fight you with all we have and more, because we will not allow our country to plummet any further than it is. And you are not in charge of our country. You are on borrowed time, and it ain't long now. We got, through the by-election, 42% support. That's a true depiction of what is going to happen in the general election. We always say, in the Bahamas, now under the COI, you touch one, you touch all. And we will not let up, because right is right and wrong is wrong. So perhaps I should stop there for now and come back on a little later, where I speak to more of the Coalition of Independence, Vision 2030, with regards to the solutions for the illegal immigration issues and crisis that the Bahamians have grown very concerned about. I'll come back on a little later and I'll finish up then. That's all I want to say for now. Let's keep it real. We don't have time to be playing. We are serious people. From day one, we will be ready to govern our country the way it should be. From day one, we will show the world that we are still light, even though we have a lot of dark forces that thinking that the old weapons will work with this new generation Bahamian. We've always been a country of Bahamians with high standard. And many of us have risen up for a time like this, and we will not shut down. All right, so I'll come back a little later, probably after lunch. I will continue part 7 with regards to the solution. I think I'll come back with how we can effectively help our dying health system under the immigration department. That's a real problem. I think we have an issue with our schooling because of the migrants and the overwhelming amount of migrants who, I don't know, they think this is the United States. You just drop kids and somebody pay for their kids. I don't know what's going on. But the health industry needs to be addressed because the COI have an answer how to actually strengthen the health industry. Yeah. It's brilliant. I don't know who came up with this plan, Mr. Bain. You came up with this plan. I'm sorry, I don't know who came up with the plan. But it's brilliant. And again, we must get rid of the old way of governing the Bahamas. This is not a true depiction of who we are. Let me leave you all with this. The by-election, Mr. Bain had to report it, that we have 42% in the by-election votes. Small majority, but that's not the point. This is just a by-election. It's not a general election. And we will want to make sure that reflects. We don't care what skullduggery they do for this election. We want that to be reflected. They'll be getting hell to pay. Hell to pay.